running, never stopping when you feel you're getting nowhere. Understanding where you're headed doesn't matter if they don't care.
So what business do they have in healthcare? Anyway, I'm going to turn aside for a moment. And Tex, is that you?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, what brings you to the Doc Greene Show today, Tex Christopher?
Well, I tell you what, we got some exciting news. We got a bill that's being proposed right now in Texas legislation. It's House Bill 2266, and we're on a mission to stop human trafficking here in the state of Texas and take Texas off that #1 spot.
Yay.
There you go. Someone's got to be about it. So stop talking about what's going on. Is Texas already has 50 pieces of legislation that's tied to human trafficking, and Texas is still ranked #1 for the nation. As Dr. Phil says, how's that working out for you, Texas? So what we've done is we come and we're literally focusing on the root of the problem, and until we focus on that, we're always going to be #1. And the root of the problem in the area when it comes to rape, human trafficking, sexual abuse, the #1 common denominator is pornography. And until we extract the pornographic seeds out of the soil of Texas, then we'll always stay #1. And so got the guts to go ahead and go for it and say, you know what, let's be about it. Let's go ahead and solve this thing. And what this bill is going to do, Doc, is that by getting to the root of the problem, it takes all electronic devices that has internet access to them. Starting in 2018, there's going to be a filter that is installed in these electronic devices, from a cell phone to a PlayStation to a PC. And what it does is that blocks pornography. And if anyone wants to go and look at those pornography websites and that content, they're going to pay a $20 fee to have that filter removed right there at the retailer. And the $20 goes to the Victim Relief Fund of Texas. And that's going to create about $108 million conservatively right here. And no other man in the state of Texas has created that amount of financing for the relief fund. And the #1 concern by the Attorney General's office, the Lieutenant Governor's office, spoken out of the mouths of our senators and representatives all throughout the press conferences in our capital city, was that they needed more finances in the Texas Relief Fund so that they can actually combat this.
Well, I like the idea, Tex. I mean, it seems like a great idea. On the other hand, then I got to take a look at CPS. How's that working out for you?
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, they're dealing with that issue right now, all of last week. And so they're expecting some good things to hopefully turn our CPS system around, and that there's a portion of the children that are involved in the system of CPS, that these are the people that get human trafficked right here in the state of Texas.
Well, that's one of the things we'd like to solve, because I don't know if you're aware of it. You know, we now dedicate every Monday to missing children, many of whom have been, trafficked and are ending up all around the world as sex slaves. So we've been doing this now for the last several weeks. But we had, like in December, 80 children disappeared from the CPS facility on Chimney Rock.
That's crazy.
So that's something that the state is doing that doesn't seem to be working very well. And one thing I know about the state government, I was just talking about it, Tex, is these guys can spend money like there's no tomorrow, but when it comes to being effective, I'm not seeing it.
I hear you. Well, I met with HPD, and they were sharing with me that they only have 50 officers that are assigned to sexual crimes here in the 4th largest city in North America. So when you're talking about 50 police officers against all the people and fighting an army that's standing for evil, no wonder Texas is #1. We got to show evil that we're serious and not curious about fixing this problem, and that we're going to shed some big light on it. But the first thing that we got to do is we got to change the law that we live under. And we got to start by protecting our children. Speaking of, our children are protected automatically when it comes to brick and mortar side. And Texas needs to get current with the times, and that's the problem right there. Our children are protected that they have to be 17 years or older in order to go see a but yet they can pull out their cell phone and they can see a triple X movie and put these pornographic images in their mind. They can walk into a Barnes and Nobles, and state law requires that that girly magazine is wrapped and placed at the back of a stand, but yet they can go to www.playboy.com, hustler.com, and they can see hundreds of them. And so we got to get current with the time, and we have to start protecting our children. And thirdly, for the people that are out here and doing these crimes against humanity, we got to put stiff penalties, and my bill does that it allows for the full extent of the law to be applied rightly to anyone who has performed sexual crimes against humanity, and being so that they can prove that they opt in to pay to put these pornographic images in their mind. And so it makes the job of the judges, the prosecuting attorneys, the district attorney, it makes their job so simple. Instead of having to plead the case out, now they're going to have documented proof in the courts when they're being brought up on charges that they have opted in to put these images in their mind, and then they went and acted out. What do you think of that, Doc?
Well, like I say, I'm playing devil's advocate here because I'm all for anything that's going to help save our children. And let me just say this. A lot of people call pornography a victimless crime, and nothing could be further from the truth. Pornography is not a victimless crime. And nobody escapes from pornography without being seriously damaged. It's the nature of the beast. So I kind of like the idea. I always hate it, though, when government mandates anything, and I worry about it because right now the budget of Texas, is huge. It's just huge how much money the state of Texas takes in, but so far they have not proven to have much of an ability to actually protect Texans. Tex Christopher.
Well, I hear you. And online pornography is the grooming and the recruiting and the exploitation of victims in human and sex trafficking. And 97% of pornography that's viewed in the year 2017 is done online. So what my bill does is it creates $108 million for the state of Texas. And once again, everyone is trying to pull money and pull money and pull money. But to be part of the solution, we got to create the finances so we can go ahead and have the funds that's needed for law enforcement to fight this. To have the Attorney General's office say, hey, we have the finances as well. And then the organizations and the ministries that need to rehabilitate these folks so that they could go on, and they only have one life. It's make it or break it. Failure is not an option. And so that's why I'm so passionate about my bill. It's getting so much traction. And once again, until you get to the root of it. And Texas is number one. No one else has stepped up. Governors haven't stepped up. Mayors haven't stepped up. Police chiefs haven't stepped up. And I'm like, well, enough is enough. As long as I'm a leader in my city and my state, then enough is enough. And I'm going to go ahead, and I have chosen to be the solution and not part of the problem. I'm not holding press conferences where it makes everybody feel good that they're doing their part. I'm not taking people on van tours and then asking for, $5, $10 for gas money. I'm not breaking bread and having meetings about, what all that we need to do. Until we change the law, nothing changes. And that's part of the problem right there. Everybody wants to bring awareness to this. And I'm telling you, awareness is all fine and dandy, but until we do something and we take action, then somebody's still being a victim. Somebody's being raped. Someone is being taken advantage of. Someone is going through this. And that's why this bill is so important. And it's a very strong bill. It's not a weak bill. I'm going straight for the jugular on this one, and it's gaining a lot of traction, and we're really excited about it.
Well, Tex Christopher, I got Rod Pugh on the line, and I think he's got something he wants to input on this. Come on, Rod, what you got there?
Hey, all right. I agree with a lot of what you had to say there. I used to work federal, but my question is, I'm kind of stuck on a few things. Is I'm trying to think how to put this. Russia and China censors places too, and I don't know how well censoring works in what you're saying, because pornography is so available out there. I mean, you can run into it just on a daily basis, and just even our daily TV, our daily ads, we have our commercials. You got to look at some of the commercials we have, and it's right there almost. I mean, from when I grew up, the doc knows I'm an old fart.
Yeah, Tex is a relatively young man compared to us. I'll tell you that.
Oh, okay. But the TV commercials are flaunting it as being, it's just right there.
Well, I guess the question I would have for Tex, based on what you're saying, Rod, is I know that at one point in time they wanted to create this XXX domain, and that was where they were going to put all the pornographic websites. But I don't think they ever did that, Tex Christopher. So how do you prevent this from happening?
Yeah, exactly. So you do it at a manufacturer level, and first of all, there's a resolution. It's a 112, and it's also been filed that pornography is deemed a healthcare crisis, and so we need to address it. Number one, once again, 97% of all the pornography, not all, but 97% of it is online. So until we tackle that right there, and we got to start with the manufacturers. So the manufacturers say, okay, we're going to be shipping these electronic devices, and slowly but surely things will phase out. People are going to start upgrading their laptops. They're going to start upgrading their computers. They're going to start upgrading their cell phones. And it's a step in the right direction. And when we make it harder for people to have access to it, then that's what makes the difference, and that's where it saves the women and the children. And until now, nobody else is
saying taking away people's freedom. But what happened in the past, a lot of, sorry, I didn't mean to jump in, but people start saying we're invading freedom, and when we did it in the past, a lot of these sites moved out of the U.S. where we have no control of them.
There you go. Well, according to the ACLU, filters is the least restrictive measure to restrict people from accessing online pornography, and at the same time, it protects the First Amendment of freedom of speech. I'm not saying that people can't go see pornography, but right now, if you want to go to a strip club, you're going to pay an entry fee, and the state of Texas makes $5 of that entry fee. It's called a poll tax. So the state of Texas isn't saying that you can't go play. If you're going to play, you're going to pay. I'm not saying that you can't go buy a porno magazine, because you're going to pay for it. It's not free. But online, it's absolutely free. So this has been found in the federal courts that it is not against anyone's First Amendment rights. But bottom line is this: as a man, as a Texan, it is my job to protect the women and children of my great state. And I'll tell everybody, your rights end where women and children's rights begin. And we need more men to stand up and man up and declare and decree that and take our community back. Now, if we want to be weak, then the enemy comes in and says, well, here you go, Texas, you'll be number one in human trafficking, and you'll lead the nation in it, but not on my watch.
Well, the problem that we have is the lack of substance, I think, in many cases. And they've proven that pornography is very addictive. And I think one sign, I don't know, I forget what he said, but there's some kind of a vitamin or I don't know, some kind of physical thing that happens when you view pornography that doesn't happen during anything else, and therefore it makes it addictive.
Dopamine. Yes, sir, it does.
Yeah, right. And pornography is the number one addiction. It actually outdoes most narcotics, alcohol, and any of these others. It's more addicting than any of these other drugs that we have. It's the number one addiction right now because it's so available, and it's there.
Yeah, and of course, child porn is already illegal, but yet we still have plenty of it. I'm just not sure I completely understand, Tex, how this filter would work. How would it work? I understand how Bayesian filters work. I don't know if you can do that with porn.
Yeah, well, okay, so there's certain keywords that are identified, and what it does is it just blocks. It's no different than the filters that we already have right now. You can't go to a public school and get onto a porno site because there's filters in place. It's impossible.
Okay.
All we're doing is we're taking those same filters that already exist that parents pay to have them installed in their children's devices, and they say, hey, I don't want my children looking at any of this garbage. So we're just taking the same filters that already exist, and we're installing them in everything that has internet access, and it just blocks pornography. It blocks what's deemed as obscene material, and all this, which is found in the Texas Penal Code 23.21. And so we're just saying, let's put this in place, and if people want to have access to it, they pay to be able to do so, instead of it just being readily out there for everybody. And in doing so, it raises money. You made a very good point. Texas is in a financial crisis this year, and I'm not asking for money. I'm creating money, and that's a good thing. Then we're protecting the children, and the retailers are able to come in, and they make money on this as well. $20 of it goes to the state of Texas, so a retailer can come in. They can charge $10 or $20. So they can make an extra $50 million, $100 million a year on this. It gets their customers in their store one more time. And anything's possible when you have a customer walk through your store. So the retailers are on board, the manufacturers are like, okay, we already have this technology, and it's just a win-win for everybody.
Yeah.
You only have two problems, though.
Yeah, go ahead, Rod.
One is that in junior high and high school, maybe even younger than that, because the kids are smart now, is that the kids are able to buy these, or not even buy, they're free on the web, IP blockers, or spoofers, as they're called. And you don't even have to install the software. You can just, go to this website, and it allows you to spoof your IP address, so you can go to the website and you can go see anything you want. Now, the IT people at the schools are doing their best. I know I have a friend who works at one, at a district, and they have a huge list of these spoofer addresses they put in daily to block these sites, so the kids can't go on places like Facebook on a daily basis or anywhere, so they can keep them, just in school and doing the school thing.
Well, you just mentioned something there, Rod. Facebook has a fairly large portion of porn on it.
Yes, it does.
Well, it does, and they do have things to be able to report. So that's a good thing. And we need other platforms out there like Instagram to be as good as Facebook. And it's been brought to my attention that Facebook acquired Instagram, and so I hope the same measures will be taken in place as Facebook does and for Instagram, because there lies a problem there with the hashtags and on certain videos, and you just put in certain keywords, and children have access to all this raw footage of pornography. And so this right here is a step in the right direction, and it starts putting the squeeze on the people that have the platforms as well as the retailers.
Frank,
here I am. I'm a Linux fan, so Linux does a real good job of just wiping that out, to where you put in your profile and it kills it, and there you go.
Wow, that's awesome.
You got an instant filter that automatically blocks the push factor, and it kills a lot of the capability of people going out to these sites.
Okay,
That's
I like
just,
that.
like I said, I'm a huge Linux fan. You know, Microsoft doesn't like it that way. But the other thing I was going to say is that when it comes to pedophilers and a lot of these people, it does destroy the home. It destroys families. It destroys businesses. It destroys the economy because people are too busy at these sites. But when it comes to people, once they're arrested and what have you, their chance of becoming, quote, normal is very minuscule. It is hard to damn near impossible to rehabilitate some of these people. Our vast majority, it's like 99% will never recover from that addiction. That's just been my experiences and those that I've worked with in this field.
Yes, you're so true. Well, we're doing our part to bring the awareness. I'm the president and CEO of Tex Christopher Studios, and we're excited about bringing roughly a $20 million budget human trafficking film that will go ahead and shed light on this as well. Prepared to do another one in 2018. Texas is going to be right around the 15th state to go ahead and to adopt this piece of legislation that I'm talking about. And we're hoping that God just breathes on the fire that I'm building right here in Texas, and that will just spread across the nation. We just want to be found that we did our part. I got great people like Freddie Gorgeous and Aubrey Cervic that's part of the team, and we're down there and we're walking the halls and just being the difference that we want to see. And we're getting some really good feedback on this. We need 76 to get the House. We need 21 in the Senate. We have Representative White from Houston, Texas, that's carrying it in the House, and he's the author on it. And we have Senator Garcia, who's asked to go ahead and spearhead it in the Senate. So we're really excited about what this is going to be doing. On March 29th, we actually have a Stop Sex Trafficking in Texas Day that's going to be there. And we're going to have a press conference at our Capitol. We're inviting everyone in the state of Texas that feels the same way and they want to be a part of putting an end to us being number one in the United States in human trafficking to join us at our state capitol at 10 o'clock to 5 o'clock. And we're going to go visit with legislators, people from just all over our great state. And people can find out more information. Freddie Gorgeous did a perfect job on our website. It's StopSexTraffingInTexas.com. People are able to go and get more information. We have videos that are there all about this bill, content, the bill itself. People can donate to this cause. And so however that people want to get involved, we've listed other ministries, several ministries that people can get involved in all across the state of Texas that are focused on putting an end to this. And united we stand, and so we're asking people to unite with us, and let's be the change.
Well, I hope it does some good.
I'm going to jump, Doc. I live in Vegas, and I wish you luck, and you know what kind of pressure we have.
Oh, man.
I got to leave.
Yeah.
Frank, you had something you wanted to say here. Are you there?
Yeah, I am here.
Jump in, Frank.
Honestly, this bill sounds like nothing but a moneymaker. It seems like, porn is bad, but unless you're, rich and you can afford it, it's okay. It sounds a lot like the cigarette tax to me, because child pornography is already illegal. Child trafficking is already illegal. Hey, how about we get the police forces and CPS to start enforcing the laws rather than putting more laws on people?
Well, I agree with you right there. But once again, people have $20 to go to a strip club. In the state of Texas, they make $5 of that. People have $5 for a porno magazine, and the state of Texas collects tax on that. So all we're doing is we're saying, let's take what we already have on the brick and mortar, and let's go ahead and let's raise some finances to do good.
So actually, this isn't a cigarette tax. This is an internet tax, and you're just using pornography as the evil to get everybody to say, yeah, let's tax the internet. See, this is what people have been against all the time on the internet for, because once you tax one thing, then what's next? Oh, let's tax the news. Hey, let's deem you fake news and say it's going to cost you an extra $20 to do business because we want that money. Nah, this is a can of worms. You know what? Enforce the laws that exist and start putting these child pornographers in prison. Not the people that look at it, the people that are behind the camera kidnapping these girls and doing this stuff, and boys. Why isn't that happening? Why isn't there any bills to say, look, how about a bill that says, look, if there's a complaint about a missing child, you are obligated to go investigate it, not just to breeze them off and say, oh yeah, we're on it, and never do a thing. That's the whole thing. This is all about raising money, is what it sounds like. It's just to raise more money. I mean, it's a typical state thing where, hey, we got to look around anywhere we can find to raise more money because we can't stop spending.
Well, I tell you what, it takes money to make the state go around, and we need more finances to be able to combat this. The other side has plenty of money. The other side has plenty of money, and they're making it, and they're throwing it out there.
In your household, when you decide you want to do more things and you realize, good golly, I don't have the money for that, do you just go to your boss and say, hey, listen, you're going to have to start paying me more? Or do you start going, well, we got to do without this and that and the other thing if we want to do this other thing over here? See, the state is so irresponsible. They never think that way. They always figure they can just go strong arm the boss, scare him into some more money, and that's the way it goes. How about cutting some money somewhere to get that extra money? If this is what's necessary to fight this stuff, then go get it from some program that's not necessary.
Here.
I hear you. Well, let me ask you a question. If we could ask for $20 from the people that choose to do these kind of things, and it takes us from being number one, and it's a step in the right foundation, and it opens up for the full extent of the law to be applied rightly against someone who rapes, molests, or participates in human trafficking, and at the same time it protects every single minor in the state of Texas, that they will not have such easily access to pornography. Is that worth $20 to you?
I'm not supporting children watching pornography or anybody else for that matter. However, when taxation is in the right step, no, I don't believe that. I believe the state wants money to do something righteous and good like stopping child pornography, then they should go and maybe say, well, maybe the slugs sucking up welfare need just to get a little less. Maybe maybe we don't need that study to figure out how the worm reproduces in a mud puddle or some crazy stuff they spend money on. And put it towards that, because these laws are already on the books. Child pornography is illegal. Child trafficking is illegal. The police departments are not investigating these crimes. So if it's money, then the state needs to find more money. God knows they get enough money out of the people. See, the answer can't be more taxation ever. I mean, this is what we've been doing for the last 70 years, and it's crushing everyone out here. It's not just the bad porno lookers out there. And if you think some bit of software or filter is going to stop kids from watching pornography, that's not true, because the idea that it is impossible to view pornography in school is like saying it's impossible to take drugs in prison. Oh yeah, you're not supposed to be able to, but let me tell you, it's going on. So
Frank has veered off into something there. I mean, that's it. Could you have a more restrictive environment than prison, and yet, yeah, you can get drugs in prison? What do you say, Tex?
Well, I mean, when you take away the easiness to be able to have access to it and you put those blocks up, it does make a big difference. That's why we don't have our children being under the age of 17 and watching R-rated movies. We're just talking about existing laws that are already on brick and mortar side, and we're applying them to technology. Instead of us being lawless over in the area of technology and letting evil run rampant, then let's go ahead and take the same existing laws that we have on brick and mortar that nobody's throwing up signs about. It is the way it is. You got to be 17 years or older to see an R-rated movie. If you don't like it, you can leave the state of Texas. Plain
Well, and
simple.
you can go online and watch all the R-rated movies you want at 7 years old. It's the parents'
Sure.
responsibility to monitor their children. See, this is another time when, well, the parents don't seem to be able to care enough about their children to do what they're supposed to be doing. So, hey, Papa State will come in and we'll do it, but not for free. We're going to put some more taxes on it. My whole point is I think the state of Texas and the state of Oregon and the state of all of them have plenty of money. They're just spending it wrong. They are not.
Yeah.
They're not. They never seem to do what's profitable for the people. Okay, child porn, child trafficking. I can't imagine why any state, any leaders, any law enforcement isn't hopping all over this and saying, "Look, you know what? Sorry about that shoplifting call, but we're not showing up because we're busy chasing down a child pornographer." But no, they're wasting time writing tickets on the side of the street because you didn't use your turn signal. And while child traffickers are running free, living in motels, shooting child pornography movies, and nobody's doing anything about it. And I can't imagine that there's just not enough money in the state to do anything about that. There's no will.
Well, let me jump in here and ask about that, because it would seem to me like most of these pornographers are doing this to make money, that there's got to be a money trail here, Tex. I mean, I want to get rid of pornography too. It is not a victimless crime.
And how? I mean, it's not a crime, and we're not saying that it is a crime. We don't want anybody to feel that way. Sex is a healthy thing. It's a good thing. God created it.
In marriage?
If someone wants to have access to pornography, until the internet, people always had to pay for it. And we're just saying, we're not saying that you can't have access to pornography. We're just saying it's going to cost you, just like the magazines, just like it costs you in the strip clubs, and the state already makes money. So we're not taxing people, we're just charging people, and there's a difference. And I understand how you feel about being taxed, and we're being taxed on anything and everything. And I'm in agreement with you on that. I feel the same way. But this is just something we're taking that's been free, that everybody, including minors, have the opportunity to get to it, and they are getting to it, and it is changing our culture right before our eyes. And we need to be wise as serpents on this, and we need to beat the other side because they're beating us. And unfortunately, it's because people choose to not do anything about it. That's what makes us number one. And so the bill that we have, House Bill 2266, it is definitely a step in the right direction, and I would rather take one step that way. And if it costs people a little bit money to take the right steps, that's a whole lot better than taking the wrong steps, and it costs us so much more when they do.
Well, I don't know if this is the answer or not. I am looking for anything we can do to solve this problem. Because I got to tell you, since we started doing this Monday 2-hour program on the missing children of Texas, it just makes you sick to your stomach. And I know that pornography is the root of a lot of this. I just don't know if this is the answer, because quite frankly, we've got too many Republicans up there that, the R is for reprobate, not for Republican.
I hear you.
I'm just afraid. Once the money starts rolling in, it's not going to be put in the right places like so many new taxes go. I mean, I don't know how many times here in Oregon we've been fooled into, do this bond, do this thing for this and that, and it's all okay. That sounds like a good idea, so we do it, and then they go, "Oh golly, we're out of money because we stole it all and put it in the general fund." See, they do this all the time, and how many times are we going to get fooled? Yeah, it might sound like a good idea, but are they actually going to do it? I think the states need to start, before they come asking for more money ever again. They need to start being responsible and show the people that, no, look, we have priorities and we're willing to make cuts in other areas so we can do these priorities. And look what we did now. Maybe, how about some more money? But they haven't done that, and they won't do that because all they ever want is more money, and they always end up misusing it. See, I mean, even if this bill goes through, and even if it was going to accomplish everything that you want it to accomplish, we still have to count on these criminals in the state houses to say, oh, wait a minute, we can't steal that money. That's protecting the women and children. That's never stopped them before.
I hear you. Well, my hopes are that when less people have access to it, that it does slow it down, number one. Number two, by having more finances in the Texas Relief Victim Fund, that those funds will go to law enforcement to be able to do a better job. And that's where my heart is, that the finances will be used appropriately for the organizations and the ministries, the people that truly care, and the people that need the help to go ahead and do a good job. And
I have a specific
thirdly,
question
instead of
about
being
that.
pleaded 5 years and 9 months on a rape case, that a judge says confidently, I have no problem dropping the hammer on you, and here you go. Here's 17 years because the state of Texas says I can. And I have no problem holding people accountable. And the way that the law is written is to go ahead and go that direction. And at least it's a step in the right direction versus the wrong.
Well,
on
I have a
Judgment
question
Day,
about,
I'll
is there
take
a
those
way
out.
to write a bill? And my major concern is really the money and the taxation here. You can call it a fee, but it's really, if the state's doing it, it's a tax. And the thing is there a way to write a bill to make sure that, look, every dime raised by this goes to exactly what it's supposed to, and you're not allowed to take it and stick it in the general fund? Is there a way to protect, funding that way in legislation?
You know what? That's a very good question, because the way that this bill is written, it says exactly what everything is to be appropriated for. But I don't see in other bills, and nor even in this one, that says it cannot be used in any other funds. So I like that suggestion that you brought up. People just say, go ahead and make it for this one and for this one. And maybe part of the bill is that, hey, it's only to be appropriated for this cause and this cause only. Now, we leave that with our
people aren't
leadership.
stupid, and they've been watching this for long enough, and they voted for things that have cost them money because they believed in it, and only to find out 2 years later, oh, gee, that program's being shut down because there's no money because the legislators stole it, put it in the general fund. And people have seen this over and over again, and quite frankly, we're leery of any new, legislation. We're going to fund this really great idea. Well, that'd be okay, but they don't fund those really great ideas. They steal the money and use it for whatever they want to use it for. And I would figure, you have a lot more success if you could show people, look, hey, they can't use this for something else.
Yes. Well, in my bill, it's very specific that it says the retailers pay the comptroller. The comptroller pays to the Attorney General's office, and the Attorney General's office has the ability to keep those finances within the AG's office, ministries, organizations, which is deemed for those that qualify, and then for law enforcement agencies across the state. And it's those four things right there is what is in my bill and how it's written.
Well, yeah, I'm looking at some of it right now. And look, I think anything that makes it more difficult is probably a good idea. It's just that one of the things I was going to get to on the show today, for instance, is, we have this human trafficking problem, and yet Ted Heap, now the new constable of Precinct 5, he's just gone into major fundraising mode. You can't drive down Beltway 8 now without getting a ticket practically, but there's nobody assigned to looking for these missing girls.
Yes.
What the hell is wrong with that, Tex Christopher?
And that's the problem. Like I said, HPD shared with me they have 50 officers, 50, and there's 24 hours, 7 days a week. They only have 50 officers in the fourth largest city in North America. That's crazy. No wonder we're getting our butts kicked. No wonder we're getting our butts kicked.
So is it in your mind, is this going to solve that problem, or is HPD going to get some money to work on this out of this bill?
Well, as the leader of my city, Doc, I heard the police department, and then I said, okay, well, let's go and create finances for it. I didn't want their words to fall on deaf ears. So
well, I also got to point out,
I've done more than any other man in this state, and so
Tex,
I'm always open to
nobody
do more.
can argue.
I want to do more. I want to be effective. Failure is not an option in my book.
Nobody can argue that Tex Christopher has not been willing to get out there, because I know when we did the Target thing, you led that, and there were, 25 people out of this entire city of 9 million that showed up to boycott Target. So there's no question Tex Christopher has been one of those guys on the front. I also have to point out, though, as one of the other guys in the chat room pointed out to me, hope is not a strategy.
Pointed out, what's the strategy?
Hope is not a strategy.
Hope?
Well, yes, because you said, I hope this, and fill in the blank. Hope is not a strategy. We have to do something to make sure this is going to happen. And Frank, you hit a lot of valid points.
And so I have a bill that's short and sweet and keep it simple. Those are the ones that most often tend to go ahead and get passed. And this one bill alone is greater in strength all by itself and tackling the issue than 50 other weak pieces of legislation combined that make Texas number one.
Well, I'm fed up with Texas being number one in this area. There's no excuse for that. I'd like Texas to be number one in liberty, but in fact, we're, I think, 26 now out of 50 states. So they're really good at passing laws to restrict our liberties. They're not really good at solving major problems, is apparently the case. Who else has signed on to this legislation as far as helping to carry this through?
So we're having people sign up this week. We got our House bill number a couple weeks ago, and so we have people that are signing up this week to go ahead and be co-authors on this bill. So maybe I can do an update as early as next week on that with you. But typically what happens on these human trafficking bills, you don't have too many people that say no to them, especially on the House side. And because this is something that's it's a bipartisan issue. And so it's nice that we have been getting support from both the Democrats and the Republicans on this. So we expect this to go through overwhelmingly. It just went through the committee in Oklahoma 100%. We have other states like New York and New Jersey, Florida, North Carolina, Arizona, Utah. All these other states are just jumping on board. They're rolling this out in this legislation, and it's doing a good job. And so we expect to go ahead and at least to get a good 15. We have this being a resolution that's being filed at a federal level in Washington, D.C. to go ahead and put the squeeze on the manufacturers to do this. And what that resolution in D.C. does is it supports the resolution that pornography is deemed a healthcare crisis and puts the squeeze on the retailers to go ahead and do this. So this has been very carefully thought out, a lot of expertise on both the technical side and the legal side, and what has been found that it's all within our Constitution, not against our Constitution. And what we're doing right now is we're getting people to come into agreement with us. And as long as we have 2/3 of the House and 2/3 of the Senate, I've already taken everything from the top of the leadership down, and I'm using my influence in my state. My governor supports this bill, lieutenant governor, the Speaker of the House office is like, hey, we're on board. You get 2/3 of the House. The Attorney General is excited about this. I'm doing my part as a Christian businessman and putting tens of millions of dollars to create awareness. So we feel that we're definitely taking the right steps of action, and that's what's going to make all the difference here in the state of Texas.
Well, Tex Christopher, I appreciate you trying to do something about this. I'm concerned, once again, like I say, my experience with the state of Texas has not been all that good when it comes to actually solving criminal problems. They're really good at fundraising, though. And so that's why I'm worried that this is a fundraiser. And I don't want to waste your time today on this show, but I would love to get you back on and talk about some of the other areas where Texas could be doing a better job than they're doing. But,
sure, most definitely. Well, just know you got the guy up here that's at the tip of the spearhead on this. I got a track record. Doc, you and I were out there, will be 1 year ago on April 21st, and we're calling for target stock to drop and hold below $74. It closed at $56.10 yesterday. So we'll be having another demonstration in just a matter of weeks. As I announced, they will be announcing to us by the end of the first quarter, and I shared it then, that they're going to be starting to shut down their 1,800 stores, and a big portion of them, and because they just can't continue to lose money.
I think
I'm the guy that's at the tip of the spearhead and the whole bathroom deal, and I'm the guy that's responsible for collecting 21.7% of the validated signatures of what we needed to put it to the referendum to where the Houstonians could vote on it. So it's always my joy and honor to be at the very tip and taking the right steps of actions, getting other people to come into agreement with me. And I'm always looking for those people. So I'm expecting some really good results on this bill. And it's just a joy and honor. And I'm very humbled to be able to live in such a time as this, to be used by God to do my part to lead effectively for my state and the
Tex
people.
Christopher, I do know you to be a good, solid individual, and you've done things that nobody else was able to do. You know, so Tex Christopher, I so respect that, and I appreciate you taking the time to come on the show today and be willing to debate this, because I think that was a good, healthy debate, and I hope some good things come out of that as well. But I want you to know I stand with you, Tex Christopher. We are going to stop child trafficking in Texas. And I have dedicated my Monday show 2 hours every Monday. Me, Amber Kamek. Yesterday we had Becca Joyce on from Wisconsin, for crying out loud. We are going to stop sex trafficking in Texas and in the United States if I can do anything about it. And I thank you for everything that you have done along those lines as well.
Well, amen. Well, I just want to say before I hop off, I just want to extend a very big thank you to my team, because Freddie Gorgeous has done an outstanding job and Aubrey Cervic has done an outstanding job, and we're working really hard for you, Texas, because we love you, Texas. And thank you so much for having me on the show today. And this was an excellent debate, and thank you guys so much for your feedback.
You're certainly welcome. We're going to be right back on the show. Take it away. Up next, Babette Holder from Chicago.
The amazing Doc Greene Show is on the air.
You just defended yourself with a gun. The police are called and you're potentially involved in a homicide. But it was self-defense. At this point, you are not in your right mind. No one ever is when they are in fear for their life and defend themselves. Anything you say can and will be used in a court of law, both civilly and criminally. Fortunately, you have selfdefensefund.com. We are the National Association for Legal Gun Defense, and we protect our members nationally in all 50 states, up to $1 million per incident per member. Let us do the talking for you and visit selfdefensefund.com. Any weapon, any state, anytime.